Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most OP spear build guide in the First Berserker Khazan. Now I'll be going through as if we were starting from the beginning of the game, so I can show you where to allocate your stats, what skill points you want to be using, and everything in between. So the spear in particular is very powerful because it can break down the stamina of enemies really quickly, allowing you to get brutal attacks in. And this is a big component of this. So for our stats, now the first thing I'd recommend is getting your health up really quickly. So we're not starting with a whole lot of health. So getting I would say even getting up to like to 25 before even setting points into other stats. Now you've also probably noticed in this game that stamina is extremely useful. So we do want a bit of endurance. So once you get to 25-ish, we can pump the endurance up a little bit as well. You can kind of fine tune what works best for you, but I found roughly around there early game worked well. So 25 and 20 endurance. I didn't put any points into proficiency yet. This is going to be our main damage stat here. So this is a nice one to increase. However, it's probably best to prioritize these here first. So then we can get the vitality up to 30 or even 35 and then put a few more points into our endurance. And once we get to this, I actually think it's a good time to put a few points into our proficiency here, which will give us a little bit of health as well as it buffs up our damage quite a bit. So we can take that to 15-ish here and then continue to pump up our vitality. You're going to know what you need more of if you find that you're constantly, because it's dependent on your own playstyle. If you find that when you're blocking, you can't get the brink dodges off or brink blocks off very well, more endurance might work well. Or if you're just tanking a lot of hits, maybe more vitality. So I think going even something like this can work well. I did respec, so that's why I got all this Lacrima here. So once you get your stats up to there, I'd even recommend taking your health a little bit further because there are some bosses that hit really hard and pretty much take out your whole health bar. So getting this to 45 and then taking our proficiency up to like 20 and then potentially like, I wouldn't touch this too much. Once that's up, then we're going to put the rest of our points into our endurance here and then continue to pump vitality. I went around 50 because once you get to 60, that's the soft cap for a lot of these stats. So there's not much benefit to putting more past there. It's probably better to spread it between your other stats. So we're going to hit the 60 here. And then once we get to 60 health, it's best to bring up your endurance to about 50. And then we can put our stats into our damage stats. So then I found the later levels, it was just better having your high endurance and health and then focusing on just increasing overall scaling on the damage. So then eventually something like this I found worked really well. So we'll roll with that for our stats: 60 vitality, 50 endurance, and then 45 proficiency. And then as for the skill tree, this is where it really comes down to, this is what makes or breaks your character really. The skill tree has a lot of usefulness to it. So with a spear skill tree here, you can unlearn all your points at once. So I'll just kind of restart from the beginning. The first one that we want to have is our swift attacks here. So with this, our moonlight, so the third attack with swift attack becomes a slashing attack. And then this is one of the most powerful abilities that we have, moonlight stance. You're going to see, if you haven't used this yet, this is crazy. So striking an enemy with moonlight activates moonlight stance. So on our third attack of our swift attack combo, so just boom, 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 we get this, which lasts for 15 seconds. It grants an after image attack. These will deal a ton of stamina damage. And we can even upgrade this, but I wouldn't recommend going too high on this just yet. It's better a little bit later in the game. This is going to give you extra damage, extra stamina damage. The stamina damage is massive because whenever you break an enemy's posture, you can then go and do a brutal attack by pressing B or circle if you're playing on PlayStation. And this is going to do a ton of health. You want to do this from behind as well. This will also give you a spirit charge if you got the skill tree there. You want to do these from behind because enemies take more damage from behind. So whenever you break their posture, they'll have a moment where you can move around them. So that's huge. Now, the next one that I would recommend is actually the Moonlight Step here. So this will gain the ability to activate another dodge immediately after dodging a Moonlight Stance. You probably don't have that yet. So actually the Shadow Cleave is nice too. And I would recommend not going for the chain too much. The Shrew is pretty good though too, because you can get the quick slash, so you do an attack after a brink dodge, which lets you get a little extra damage in. I found early game that I really like the decreased stamina cost of guarding. While you're learning how to guard properly, this can be pretty effective. You'll increase stamina damage to enemies affected by the brink guard. This is also nice too if you're getting into a habit of brink guarding. You can also go with the rod smite, but I found that actually one of the more effective ones is actually to go with the chaser here. So the stamina cost of attacks are temporarily decreased each time an enemy is exhausted, but we want to get to the shadow reversal. The reason why is shadow reversal. When you strike, press Y during a swift attack, dodge attack, rod smite, or 0 points. If you're doing your combo, press Y, you'll actually do this attack which gets you behind them. And as I mentioned, you want to do your brutal attacks from behind. This is crazy because we can set up some quick counterattacks by doing this. So getting these stats here, I guess you don't really need this stat. You can skip that and just take Shadow Reversal. I also recommend, this is the best skill in the game, I swear, After Image Thrust. So unleash an onslaught of stabs. What's nice about this is it doesn't take up your stamina. So when you use this attack, you can combo burn down your stamina. And let's say the enemy is really close to having their posture broken, but you can't get that extra attack in without losing all your stamina. This is your best friend. I have it equipped to right button X, and it's very strong. I also like to upgrade this skill alongside the Moonlight Stance because they will both increase the amount of stamina damage that you do. These go hand in hand, and they're very, very powerful. It only uses one spirit, and it blasts really hard. I'll be honest, guys, this is crazy. You'll see it in a few of my videos. A combo that I like to do is your Swift Attack to get your Moonlight Stance on, doing the Shadow Reversal to get behind them, and then stun locking them with the After Image Thrust. So this is really good. We can go ahead and increase our... you can, I guess, go with the next boost whenever you can get that. It is nice to get the guard ability, still increase stamina damage whenever we get enemies afflicted by Brink Guard, because you want to Brink Guard as much as possible. Although you don't deal damage to targets when you Brink Guard like you would with a Greatsword or Dual Wield, it's good to have these two here, just so that you get the ability to build up a little bit extra, or keep a little bit of your stamina whenever you're attacking. Now this too, the Quick Slash is nice for a little bit of a quick attack whenever you get out of a dodge. But I'd actually recommend boosting up your Moonlight Stance a little bit more. So this will slightly increase stamina damage for after image attacks. You're basically going to be doing after image attacks all the time. Also, I like the Shadow Cleave here. Inflict a powerful strike with a third strike, a potent blow. Because once we got our Swift Attack up and you got the after image strikes, it's probably best to go with the potent blows because these swipe in a large area of effect, which is really nice. So 0 points also good. X during a potent blow or vital strike will do a little extra damage, and you can chain these together. So that's also pretty effective. Spiral Thrust is nice, but I just found After Image Thrust comes out quicker and can stun lock enemies, which makes it very powerful. Now, once we unlock the next level, Full Moon's crazy. Charge this while in your Moonlight Stance. This will remove your Moonlight Stance, but as we upgrade it, it actually doesn't remove it after a while, so that can be pretty nice. Also, taking stamina cost of attacks or temporarily decrease each time the enemy is exhausted is also pretty good. The Chaser feat, I recommend it as well. And gain increased stamina recovery rate while in Moonlight Stance. That's super useful too, because you're always going to want to have your Moonlight Stance up. So anything that buffs you is super important. This is also nice because press able dodging Moonlight Stance, gain the ability to activate another dodge immediately after dodging. So yeah, you can do a double dodge with your Moonlight Stance up, making you pretty effective. And then once we get down here, while in Moonlight Stance, activating a branch dodge counts as an attack along the path of the dodge. This is huge once you get it unlocked, because when you dodge, you'll deal damage to the enemy, and it's nice because you can, if you do a brink dodge, they'll take damage, and you'll be in a better position to get your counterattacks in. So that's really effective. After this, I found that going with the Assault can be pretty decent, but I think that, I honestly do think that Shadow Reversal is the best choice here, so we went with that. And then also going into here, press X after a brink guard can be nice to get yourself the Rod Smite, which will do a bit of extra stamina damage too. There's a couple bosses where the Phantom Heat Wave is nice. If you get hit with multiple attacks in a row, like there's some bosses that do multiple attacks, this can block all of them and you can stop it, which is pretty nice. Although there are some better ones here. I don't recommend really going too far into the guard. You can go with the decreased stamina cost at some point too if you need a free point to put somewheres, if you find that your stamina is dropping pretty quickly on that. I also found that the decreased stamina cost of dodging is really nice because you're going to dodge a lot. That's kind of a core principle of this game, so having this boosted up really high is quite nice. Crescent Strike is pretty decent, but this is something that I almost recommend going with another option because of all these things that you can spend your stamina on, it's best. I found it's just best to go with After Image Thrust because this stun locks people. So next we can go with get your stamina charge every time the enemy is exhausted, which will recover your ability to do the After Image Thrust. Vital Strike is nice too. Press Y while sprinting or dodging. It's actually an attack that can dodge attacks of other enemies. So you can use this. People might miss you with your attacks. Very effective. And then you can do this if you do it against their back. So the buff to it is also quite nice. And if we're out down to that point, pressing B against an exhausted enemy while in Moonlight Stance increase the damage of Brutal Strike. So with Crimson Strike, basically what we want is anytime that we have Moonlight Strike up, we want to be using our, we want to be doing our brutal attacks with Moonlight Stance active. So we can boost up our Moonlight Stance to maximum, further increasing stamina damage. And then Full Moon here is a huge area of effect attack, and you can buff it up so that it doesn't use, or you can buff it up so that it only reduces the Moonlight Stance a bit. And then once we get to the final level here, Full Moon and Crimson Strike are enhanced in proportion to the remaining amount of duration of Moonlight Stance. So if you do a brutal attack, while you have your Moonlight Stance just came up, it'll do extra damage, which is pretty crazy. Moonlight Stance duration increases by 3 seconds when pouring a brink dodge, also huge, so we can continually extend our Moonlight Stance for brink dodging or brink guarding. And after image strike, so Moonlight Step, the duration of Moonlight Step's invincibility, so you get a better dodge from this. So maximizing the swift attack is super important. It is nice to go with some of these here, so increasing the amount of spear gain from attacks is quite nice, and then we can always buff up our after image thrust all the way. So those would be the best skill points to put your abilities into. Later on, you can go with some of the other ones, and even like the common skill tree is nice. Like you have the reflection there, shorten activation time of reflection, decrease damage taken is also quite nice. But building out this spear skill tree makes us a beast. So I do have build guides on all the bosses. I even have some cheese guides. So there's some bosses that are very difficult to beat, but you can take them out pretty easily using the weird strategies like knocking them out of the sky. So if you get stuck on a boss, check out my channel. I have a video on every single boss in the game. If this video is useful, please hit the subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.